Hello guys, it's ZedFest, and today I'm going to be talking about ZedFest. A game I thought I'd never enjoy, as for me the art style did feel a little bit cartoony for my taste, especially when I first played the game. Not to mention, I wasn't originally a fan of the third person mode, but I gotta admit, this game has actually grown on me like a lot. And now that I've sunk more hours into the actual game, I can actually see the good in the game, and there is definitely a lot of enjoyable features with the game. But what exactly is ZedFest, and what does it do differently to other shooter games? The description for the game basically states that ZedFest is the goriest game show ever created. It's a hardcore 6-player co-op third-person shooter, bit of a mouthful, with the goal to complete objectives while neutralising Zed with a lot of visceral gore. It basically works similar to Killing Floor 2. If you're a fan of Killing Floor and want something different from shooting Horsey and Zed, you basically found the right game, and it is similar to Killing Floor 2 in many ways. Most of the same perks return from Killing Floor 2. For example, you got your Commando, which is literally called Commando, just like Killing Floor 2, and to nobody's surprise, he does use ARs, and also a couple of heavy machine guns. Nuka is basically your demo, which works similar to demo in a lot of ways, except with Nuka you can actually launch yourself in the air with explosives, which means you can get some good air time. Torpedo is basically your support. Again, uses shotguns, got a few familiar ones in there as well. Doctor is obviously your medic, who again heals the teammates, keep them alive. And last but not least, we have the Bone Breaker, which is the Berserker. Again, uses melee weapons, but you also got the choice of submachine guns and pistols. You've also got different kinds of melee weapons, so they're not all the same. And speaking of perks, the same perk skills also return. So going back to Nuka, you've also got level 15 skill, Nuclear Warhead, which is basically Destroyer of Worlds. I know with Killing Floor 2's Destroyer of Worlds, it is very random when you get it, but I found with Nuclear Warhead you actually do get it a lot more often, which is good. And for Bone Breaker, you've got lots of melee swings, which basically heals 3 points of health a second. Basically similar to Berserker's level 5 skill Skirmisher, except you only heal 2 points, which is a massive bonus. And of course the first thing you have to do in ZedFest is launch a game, and there is a ton of match customization that goes alongside it, so you can actually choose the length of each game, which goes up to 12 waves. And you even get the endless mode option. You also got 5 difficulties ranging from scrub to impossible difficulty. Killing Floor 2 only has 4 of those. There's also plenty of map variety you can get as well. Killing Floor 2 did have more, but I mean again it is quality over quantity, as I know some of Killing Floor 2's later maps weren't that great. So alongside starting matches and changing difficulties, you've also got different game modes, and one game mode I did already touch on was Endless Mode, which is basically similar to Killing Floor 2's Endless Rounds, but it does work a lot differently. You do actually get optional challenges in the game where you have to defend areas, kill a certain amount of Zeds with a certain weapon. This basically gives you a bit more XP, which is good, compared to Killing Floor 2's endless mode of just throw Zeds at you and kill them. Not to mention as well, with ZedFest, only a certain amount of Zeds spawn. So you do get special rounds like Zeds only. Objective mode also returns in ZedFest, which again is a task-based mode where you complete tasks just like regular Killing Floor. And to be fair with you, it can be a bit tedious at times, a bit repetitive, and it suffers from the same issue in my opinion with Killing Floor 2. Killing Floor 2's objective mode does not have a story, and objective mode in ZedFest doesn't really have like a story behind it. You basically just go in and do stuff and leave. And again, I would like to learn more about ZedFest's story through this mode. I think it would be good, but the lack of actual story, for me, it just makes the objective mode less fun, less interesting. It just feels like a tedious to-do list, if anything. There is also another game mode as well called Horde mode. This is basically your standard survival mode. So just like Killing Floor 2, you fight off waves of Zeds, defeat a boss in the end, etc. Trader opens every round you use to buy and upgrade equipment, and it also does spawn in a unique boss that challenges how you play, and I'll get further into bosses the further I go. But we actually have a new game mode with ZedFest, and this is called Time Attack. And you see, it's sort of like endless mode, except you have 12 minutes to survive. The trader will open throughout the match, but Zeds still spawn, which means you have to use traps to your advantage to basically keep them away, or you have to get your stuff quickly and leave. And it is the same thing as survival mode, where you fight one boss at the end after 12 minutes is up. And finally, you do get a prestige system in the game, which can be unlocked by reaching level 20, which is the equivalent of level 25 for Killing Floor 2. And it does work the same as well, because when you do prestige, you basically get reset to level 1. You also get your permanent XP bonus. You do get some extra credits and stuff towards it, which means you can unlock exclusive weapons. So now that I've done some comparisons to Killing Floor 2, what does ZedFest do uniquely? What features and gameplay does it offer that Killing Floor might not have? Well, within ZedFest, when you do play the game, Zeds basically drop random items. You have a system called Zed Cola, which is equivalent to Killing Floor 2's syringe. You basically drink cans of soda and you actually heal. Ammo boxes also replenish ammo, which is really nice. Piggy banks as well also give extra dosh. Rubber armor basically gives a tiny bit of armor, and again I don't know why it's called rubber armor, it sounds a bit strange. Invincibility, which basically allows you to take no damage. There is also a drop called Speed Fest, which allows you to move super fast. So there is different abilities you can get in game, and although they don't last very long, they do make a difference in the game. And one thing I do like as well about ZedFest is you can actually unlock guns from the trader early. So you basically spawn in with those guns without having to buy them from the trader. Basically purchase them using Z-Dosh, which basically think of it like Killing Floor 2's vault system, except you actually have a use with it, which is good. And there's even a second currency as well in the game called Gold Dosh, and this basically allows you to get some exclusive weapons and also unlock some exclusive characters. Although this is less common, it can be earned when prestiging as well, which is good. It does give prestige a bit more meaning towards it. And of course with ZedFest there's plenty of characters to choose from. Some characters are actually unlocked by doing a challenge or by interacting with the dev. And some characters can be unlocked by using an in-game currency, using Z-Dosh. And they even have a short bio as well, basically describing their personality. Not to mention as well, you basically got emotes as well for your character. Most of them are locked, but you can buy them using Z-Dosh. And one thing ZedFest does differently to Killing Floor is it has different rarities and weapon upgrades. So basically you upgrade the gun by getting kills, whereas Killing Floor 2 obviously you have to pay for it, and you have to keep paying for it every single game you play, so it basically resets to 0. Whereas with ZedFest the upgrade is permanent, so you basically spawn in with like a gold tier weapon essentially, and there is different colour rarities, a bit like Fortnite.
What the fuck is you talking about?
So you got like red being your lowest tier, gold being your highest. Takes a lot of inspiration from that era of games. And you can even prestige the weapons as well, which means you get a permanent bonus added onto it, but you do have to re-level it up again. Another thing I do like as well about ZedFest is the enemy weak spots. So bloats can be killed by shooting gas tanks on their back, and it actually does show you in-game where the weak spots are. There's like a little message on the Z, basically says, "Oh, I'm here, shoot me." And not to mention as well, spiders do also have a button which will detonate and kill Zeds, which again is a really cool feature. And again, the Z interaction in this game is actually really good. Basically gives you more ways of killing the Z rather than just shooting it and killing it. And of course we can't speak about ZedFest without discussing the trap variety. What ZedFest does differently is you have different traps in the game. You basically got healing stations that give more health, you got black holes that gives you a nice break, you even got an electric fence that basically kills Zeds that walk through it. There is a ton of traps within the game, and I do like how you can use it to like strategize. It does encourage you to think carefully about how you're going to play each wave. And speaking of bosses, each boss does actually have their own unique attacks, such as launching speakers at you, to launching missiles from its face. And just a quick rant as well, I absolutely hate Technohead, especially his bloody rushing hard boss. And although shooting speakers off him is kind of a good idea, I just find it so tedious and annoying. Notice with some perks as well, it does better than others. So if you're like Commando, you can basically knock them off easily. Whereas if you're only using explosive weapons, it can be a bit annoying. On the other hand, however, you do have Mr. Android, who thinks he's in some kind of Matrix film or something. There is even different bosses like Glitchface that likes to fire missiles at you and swear at you. And at the start of the boss round as well, their stats are actually displayed like next to them to basically show their weaknesses, their health, which is a really cool feature actually. You know, for a new player, it basically gives them some information about the boss. And with boss fights, they do actually spice it up a lot, so at certain points in the boss, you actually have random activities to do, such as turning off DJ sets or destroying boss healing stations. And of course, with ZedFest, I can't forget to talk about the unique grenades. There is plenty of unique and interesting grenades within ZedFest. You've got cat grenades, which is basically a cat which explodes. It's pretty funny. You've got a healing grenade, basically like Killing Floor 2. You've got dynamite, just like Killing Floor 2's demo. So there's definitely plenty of variety. So each perk again has different grenades, which you can also buy different ones. So what does ZedFest do well? One thing I think ZedFest does really well is melee weapons. I feel like melee weapons have more purpose in the game. You don't really use the knife in Killing Floor 2 for a lot of stuff. The only thing you really use it for is for parrying, whereas with ZedFest the melee weapons actually feel effective. And you can even get to the weak spots a lot easier on Zeds. And with ZedFest being a fast-paced game, I do love the combat in the game. I'm a big fan of fast-paced shooters, and ZedFest never failed to deliver in terms of gameplay, unique enemy variety, weak spots. The fact that each perk has unique movement, like Nuka, who can basically launch themselves in the air, is really cool. And the movement actually does work really well with the combat. You can basically jump, slide, barrel roll, even propel yourself in the air with Nuka. It just feels so responsive and smooth. I do like the movement. And one thing it does well is basically the blood and gore. You can basically paint maps with Zed flesh and blood. It actually sticks to the surface long after Zed is dead. And with the amount of Zeds in the map, you will definitely start painting a lot of areas. The music in the game is also really good as well. If you're a fan of Killing Floor 2, I think the music will be good for you. I do love listening to the soundtrack while shooting Zeds. And mixed with the fast-paced combat, I think the music fits very well. And finally, one thing I do like about ZedFest is the humour. When you do spawn into one map, like the town map, basically got a sign in the back which says shitty pool, which I think is really funny. Even the trader swears at you as well.
Great job, dickhead.
Oh, I think I actually...
Run over to Pug.
Did she say, great job, dickheads?
Yeah, basically calls you an idiot. Definitely adds that personality to the game. And again, I do like how ZedFest doesn't take itself too seriously. It is of course a fun mindless shooter in the end. But of course with every game there is some things that need to be improved. And one thing I did mention before was objective mode. And you see, the thing is, objective mode could have been a bit better. It could have used more story or reason as to how we got there in the first place, why we're collecting Z samples for example. And Killing Floor 2 again had the same issue of having no story with its objective mode. I mean, Killing Floor 1's objective mode was quite good. It actually had some story, did objectives a lot better without being too tedious. Another thing I think ZedFest could improve on as well is character voice lines. There is no voice lines in the game except for the trader, and to be fair, I think adding actual character voice lines could add more personality to the character, bring them to life. And the thing is, the trader can be funny with her voice lines, as she doesn't really take things too seriously, and I think if all the characters had voice lines like this, it would make the game a lot more funner. Another thing as well is servers. There isn't really any online servers from what I can find, which is a shame because this game is actually quite fun. But I'm afraid not a lot of people really play ZedFest from what I can find. I mean, Most people who play it have probably heard it from Pathfinder. One final thing I want to touch on as well is the last Zeds aren't really highlighted at the end of wave. So normally with Killing Floor 2, he basically shows you where the last 3 Zeds are in a wave. But with ZedFest, you don't actually have this feature. So it is a bit more annoying having to run around and try and find the last Zed. And for me, it just takes so much longer to finish rounds because you basically have to run around trying to find this guy. In conclusion, ZedFest is a fun, addicting, mindless shooter, doesn't take itself too seriously. The game's humour and setting makes it fun and interesting to play, and although I wasn't a fan of the graphics in the third person mode at first, the fast paced gameplay and the unique features basically got me hooked on this game. And ZedFest does take what Killing Floor did well and basically improves on this formula by adding infinite amounts of ways to play the game, and also how you play as well is totally up to you. You're not subjective to play just one type of game. ZedFest is also quite cheap, sitting at around £10, so if you are bored of Killing Floor, want something else to play, then ZedFest will be a really good game. I would definitely recommend picking it up at some point and trying it. It is genuinely good fun, and the fact it doesn't take itself too seriously definitely does make the game a lot more funner and enjoyable. But anyways, I'm going to end the video here. If you haven't already played ZedFest, I would definitely recommend it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, join Discord if you're new, follow me on the socials, and I'll see you in the next video.